Live, trance, and prosper. Hi, I'm Professor Brian David Phillips, and today we're going to talk about the use of ChatGPT guided social language games for EFL students. As many of you know, I am an associate professor at a rather good university in Taiwan. I've only been there a short time, since 1990. I'm so old. And I like using games in language learning. I have done a lot of research on artificial intelligence, and combining the two seems like a pretty cool idea to improve English fluency for language learners. So, welcome to the world of using ChatGPT with voice as a means to improve spoken English through social language games. I created an early version of a handout for my university students in English oral training courses. However, the beast grew by more than a bit, so I have a current version that is for teachers as well as students. I hope those of you who are watching this find it helpful. I will put links in the description below so you can go to my blog post on this topic and download the handout yourself for free. Oh, that's so special. Well, it is special. Look around the site. There's lots of other stuff you might or might not find of interest. Now, my original impetus for was to create a means for my students to practice their spoken English outside of class in a way that both simulated conversation with native English speakers, something students in Taiwan don't always have free, ready access to, and also offered them quality advice for improvement, presuming they use the appropriate prompting techniques and are themselves aggressive about onboarding the suggestions. That's the thing about learning. It's not a passive proposition, it is active. In order to learn, you really do have to be active in the learning process. I'm a big believer in using games as tools for language learning. And over the past 3.5 decades, I'm so old. I've referenced Patricia Mugglestone's curiosity motive in more papers, presentations, and workshops than I can count. The difference now is that students have access to an AI study buddy that can act both as a conversation partner and tutor in an easily accessible and affordable manner. Free is a great price. Now, of course, students can pay for a plus subscription and get the better GPT model, but as much as possible, I like to make things affordable, and by affordable I mean free, for my students. So before we get too deep in the woods, I want to point out that while my handout that I'm referencing here is specifically to ChatGPT, the social language learning games that I discuss and that I describe, they can be used in pretty much any chatbot based upon a large language model. My students use ChatGPT, as the free version at the time of this writing is still quite robust. When I recorded the video, that was a really optimal option. Okay. When you're watching the video, things could have changed. I don't know what's happening in the world of AI for the next week, month, year, or 10 years down the line. But right now, my students use the free version of ChatGPT. A couple of them might pay for OpenAI Plus accounts, but most are using the free. As much as possible, I prefer having free-ish resources for my students. I remember back, and I know it was a very long time ago and dinosaurs walked the earth, But I remember when I was a university student and how all the books prices were inflated, and they're even more inflated now. And it's just, I mean, I didn't have a lot of money when I went to university, and I paid for university myself, as well as got scholarships and loaded myself down with debt with student loans. Yay, that. And as much as possible, I would like to help my students avoid that issue. So now, in the realm of global communication, proficiency in English stands as a pivotal skill. I live in Taiwan, but it's very important that students in Taiwan have higher proficiency in English, and that's not going to change. To make it easier, it's going to change so that it's even more important. And the government here in Taiwan does recognize that, and they do have a push for higher proficiency. Using AI can really help. Um, English as a foreign language students who live in a non-English speaking country, the journey towards fluency has a lot of obstacles. And it's important that they do what they can, and teachers provide resources as much as possible. But really, for a language, you have to do the work. Students can't just, I'm just going to unscrew this and uncork. You just pour the knowledge right in. The matrix is not real. We don't have the software that can upload right into your brain at this point. Probably never. I'm assuming never, but I don't know what's going to happen. But I do know that right now, students really need to get to it and do the work themselves. And part of doing the work is just having the opportunity to practice. And I have courses in oral training, which is speaking, listening, conversational English. And the only way to really improve is to get more opportunity to listen and more opportunity to speak. So there we go. Let's enter the innovative solution of social language games guided by ChatGPT with voice. Now, this approach marries the advancements in artificial intelligence with the intrinsic human love for play, creating a dynamic learning environment that transcends conventional boundaries. Through engaging in social language games, learners are not merely passive recipients of information, but active participants in their educational journey. ChatGPT, equipped with voice interaction, serves as both a guide and a companion, offering real-time feedback, diverse conversational scenarios, and a level of interactivity that books and traditional learning modules can't match. I would suggest that ChatGPT guided social games with their voice interaction capability can actually revolutionize English language learning for EFL students as a supplement to other approaches. By leveraging the natural human curiosity through engaging and interactive game mechanics, these games tap into the motivational core of learners, that curiosity motive I mentioned before, which drives students towards sustained engagement and deeper learning. The gamification elements inherent in this approach, notably the use of points, levels, and rewards, mirror the motivational strategies used in video games and educational apps, promoting a sense of achievement and progress. Also, the emphasis on spoken interaction addresses one of the most significant gaps in traditional EFL education, and that's the opportunity for conversational practice. I teach conversation classes, but with any group of students, I have one class a week, one 3-hour class Sounds like a lot, but it's not. You have to converse every opportunity you can, preferably every day, practicing your oral English, your listening and your speaking and your conversation, the going back and forth. Now, through simulated dialogues, nuanced language use, and exposure to a variety of accents and idiomatic expressions, students can gain confidence and competence that is needed to navigate the complexities of English conversation in real world settings. This sets things up. Now, I use prompts. All right. I gave my students a prompt for practicing English, for setting up a study buddy and things like that. A simple early prompt was let's have a conversation. But here's something you need to do. If you're using ChatGPT with voice or things like that, make sure you do turn on the voice option. Okay. Now, currently, at the time of recording this video, the voice option on PC ain't that great. It'll read, but it won't necessarily have a real conversation with you. It just reads its responses and it doesn't hear you. But on mobile, you do have voice options, and that's conversational. So make sure you turn on the option. Currently, when I go to ChatGPT on my phone, yes, this is my phone. I'm that guy, and I turn on my ChatGPT, and I just go into boom, a new chat, and down here in the corner, there's a pair of headphones. That turns on the voice option. Under settings, you can change the settings for which voice you listen to. You want a woman's voice, pick one. You want a man's voice, pick one, whatever you've got. But turn that on. But there's something you need to do with the prompting. And the prompting is something where you want to make sure that ChatGPT doesn't take up too much of the conversation. That is, you want it to speak, and you want the students, they need to listen to it, but the AI needs to encourage the EFL, English as a Foreign Language student, to speak more. So I would strongly suggest, and also you don't want it stopping and correcting you all the time. That interrupts. I believe in communicative language learning. So let's focus on the communication, hold off on the correction until after. And so and I'll put this in the description below, I always say it's a good idea to add the following to all of your prompts. Keep your responses brief and encourage me to speak more. Do not interrupt or correct me until the end. When I say I wish to stop the conversation, offer me corrections and constructive criticism so I can improve. Add that to all of your prompts. Now, I do have the first prompt I gave my students in this whole game idea, and it's the very first game listed in my handout. The handout actually has 101 social language games for ChatGPT. Yes, 101 of them. But the first one is Storytime Quiz Battle. And that one I wouldn't use what I just told you. Just go straight from what I have, because essentially what it does is it asks ChatGPT to tell you a story. It just makes up a story of a few hundred words. You tell it how many words you want, and then the student listens. And after it's told the story, the student or students, they can play as a group, answer questions. And if they get it right, they get a point. If they get it wrong, they don't get a point. And you can add variations to that. But that's simple. It's a good listening and comprehension activity. And it can be a lot of fun if you have a couple people playing and they're trying to get more points. You can say if you get 5 points, you win, or if you get 10 points, you win. You can also say, make the questions true, false, make the questions multiple choice. Make the questions so that if a person misses it, the other side, another team can steal the point by if they answer correctly. Obviously, you're not going to use that option with true false questions. But that's it. Okay. I just wanted to talk a bit about this idea, and I will have a couple prompts in the description below. Hey, as well as a link to my much more comprehensive article on this, as well as that includes a link to the actual handout, which you can download and use to your heart's content. I will tell you for the game descriptions, it's pretty clear, but sometimes the prompt that's given doesn't work depending upon which model you're working with. And so if the prompt alone doesn't work, just copy the entire description of the game, which tells you what's supposed to happen and kind of models it. And sometimes that helps the model do the game correctly. Just copy the whole entry and paste that into ChatGPT. Mostly just have fun. Yes, learn well. Oh, yes, we're learning. But really, have fun. The more fun you have playing games, the more active you become. And of course, use other things. Do your homework and do all the other things you need to do to make yourself a better learner. For now, though, this has been Professor Brian David Phillips, and all I want to say is live trans and prosper.